Been Agassi so far. Kafelnikov very nervous at the start, and Agassi's actually won 12 of the last 13 points that have been played. Kafelnikov said in an interview that he would have to serve particularly well, or Agassi would make beefsteak of the serve.
That is wide. Agassi is 25 years old from Las Vegas, Nevada, and that's where he still lives. The city of glitz and glamour, and it shows in the way this man behaves and plays. 15 love.
First serve.
Kafelnikov has been out there stroking the ball well, but like in most cases, Agassi does all that just a little bit better. A lot more experience. Agassi's been out there on the track on the tour for 6-7 years, and Kafelnikov really just made his mark in the Australian Open last year against Pete Sampras, where he had a couple of match points, and that made him a believer that he could play with the top players. He's now ranked number 11 in the world. He's seeded 10 here.
24 years old from Sochi, Russia.
Long.
9-7 in the fifth. That match was against Sampras here.
He's just been a little bit flat, Kafelnikov, today. That's now 15 of the last 16 points for Agassi.
Game point. I don't think he has the experience, Fred. I think for him to have
mentioned, I don't think he can, in his own mind, he doesn't believe that he can win this match at this stage anyway.
Agassi holds on, and there's 5 games to 1. He really had to get out to a quick start. He's the kind of guy, you hate to say it though, Kafelnikov, that when he thinks he's going to lose, he just as soon get out of there in a hurry, and that may be what's going to happen here today. We'll find out after some of the extraordinary happenings that have already taken place during this Australian Open at Flinders Park on the stadium court.
Well, his friend Andre Medvedev has been watching. There's the Agassi contingent, Brad Gilbert and his wife Kim.
Gil Reyes,
the trainer.
15 long.
There is Medvedev. He's got his arm in a cast. If you remember, if you watched the match yesterday, he fell over in a tiebreaker, took a bad spill, fell on the wrist of his left hand. It's in a cast. That's his sister behind him.
Medvedev took out America's David Wheaton in a very close match, a 5-setter, and then lost in straight sets yesterday to Chang.
Medvedev and Kafelnikov grew up with one another. They were youngsters, played juniors against one another from the age of 10, the same coach. A lot of similarities in their style of play.
40 long.
Chance for Kafelnikov to win his second game of the match.
Well, Agassi's just seen the ball like a football the last few days out here, and when you're down 40 love, you can have a thump at it and hope it goes in. He's leading 5-1, no problems in this first set.
Game, Kafelnikov. Ball change, please.
Kafelnikov holds on, but he's down 5-2. Agassi will serve for the first set.
Agassi leads 5-2. New ball.
Flinders Park in Melbourne, Australia, on another very pleasant day. It was raining earlier this morning, but it's cleared up very nicely. Andre Agassi leading 5-2. He will serve for the first set here in just a moment. Let's take a look at the men's draw. Sampras is through barely over Larson, and then Jim Courier last night. Michael Chang is through relatively easily over Medvedev yesterday. The bottom section, it's Krikstein Elting, and the match that you're watching, Kafelnikov and Agassi. Agassi looking so far very strong. He won the last Grand Slam tournament, the US Open, and he won it from being unseeded. Who was the last person to do that?
The fiery one.
I lost a record. I had so very few of them.
Fred Stolle did it in what year was that, Fred?
1966. You ball boyed that match, I think.
No, I didn't.
Love 30.
I did not, but I was there and I watched it, and I was in awe of the way you're able to lob your way to a win over Roy Emerson in the semifinals. Agassi in control of this match. Love 30 in this game. But up 5-2 with 2 breaks.
Brad Gilbert has had Agassi so focused, I think, at this tournament, and that's not one of my favorite words, focused, but he's had him really concentrating, and I just think that's the only thing that could go astray today, because he's done it so easily in this first set that there's a chance that he'll lose concentration. He's down love 30, but he's came back to 30 all.
I don't think that's going to happen, Fred. I think it's more likely, in fact, that Kafelnikov is the one who's going to go away in this match. Watch the ace from Agassi on the line, 30 all.
40, 30.
I was talking as Agassi comes up with his first set point. I was talking to Brad Gilbert before this match, and he said that Agassi was up late watching Pete Sampras and Jim Courier play, and Brad said, you know, I'm a little worried. You know, he expended a lot of emotion watching that thing. Yeah. But obviously he did not come on this court with any worries and any loss of focus at all. Set point.
Game first set, Agassi. 6 games to 2.
Agassi wins the first set, 6 games to 2.
Not a bad way to do it. First set there in first serve percentage. Agassi up there at 72. That's terrific. 4 winners and only 8 unforced errors. You can see Kafelnikov, he's 13 unforced errors, and Agassi there finished that set off with 3 aces in a row.
Love 15.
Kafelnikov is from Sochi, as we said. It's a Black Sea resort town where former communist leaders used to have their dachas, summer cottages. Solid play. Kafelnikov looked so good in his win over Todd Martin. Beat him in straight sets easily.
15-0.
Beautiful point here, and this is his first quarterfinal of a Grand Slam event, Kafelnikov, so you got to give him a little bit of a break. Very nervous first set, and that's a beautifully played point.
Yes.
15-30.
He's going to press on the serve because he believes in his own mind that he has to serve extraordinarily well to hurt Agassi.
He's right about that. That's what happened, I think, with Patrick Rafter. He wanted to get in so many first serves that he took off about 20 kilometers. And that's just exactly what Agassi wants to hit.
15-14.
Just depth on the return. It's fired back at you with such speed that you just don't have time to prepare, and that was what happened there. Kafelnikov caught very flat-footed at the baseline.
Break point Agassi, first game of the second set.
He's got so much native talent. He's remarkably big, strong, can hit winners from anywhere on the court. He's still got to learn how to play tennis. If he gets the kind of coaching that Brad Gilbert has given Agassi, he'll win even more matches. That gets called an ace and stays.
Game point for Kafelnikov at Hamburg last year. He beat Goran Ivanisevic and Karsten Brasch, and then Richard Krajicek, the big server, and Michael Stich before Medvedev took him out in the final. But it was a 4-set match. Medvedev has a way of playing against Kafelnikov, giving him nothing balls basically, and it worked. Medvedev said that Kafelnikov reacts well to pace. If that's true, that should not be good news for Agassi, but there's pace, I suppose, and then there's pace.
He's so strong, Kafelnikov. He can handle pace, and he strikes the ball so cleanly and hard himself.
Well, he and Kafelnikov, I mean, Medvedev and Kafelnikov have practiced enough together. They practiced before they played one another in Monte Carlo.
Advantage Kafelnikov.
Sampras says of Kafelnikov, he's the best Russian I've ever played. Magnus Gustafsson, after losing to him last year, said he's the best player I've ever played, and I've met Sampras and Edberg. He can put you in awe, the men's locker room.
Game Kafelnikov. First game, second.
They play in a way similar kind of games. They'll continue after we take a break, so will they. 1 game to love, second set. Kafelnikov beat Agassi the only time they've played in Monte Carlo last year. And then Kafelnikov went out to his buddy from Russia, Medvedev.
Played on a very slow clay court. Agassi made a lot of unforced errors in that match. I was there to call that match.
15-0.
It's a different day today and a different surface. 15 love, 1 game to Kafelnikov, 1 set to Agassi.
Kafelnikov feels a little bit of pressure because back in Russia, you know, there's no more federal funding for sports. You know, once the Soviet Union collapsed, so did their entire sports system.
I don't think he needs too much funding these days.
Yeah, but he's talking about the young players behind him.
Great point from Kafelnikov. He is matching Agassi. They do play so similarly. Pounding the ball from the baseline.
It's the first time you've seen Agassi really on the stretch. What's this forehand that he gets here? See, he had to hit that one behind him, and he didn't get much depth on it. And then Kafelnikov had him on a string. That's Agassi getting some of his own medicine. He's done that so many times himself to his opponents.
15-30.
Kafelnikov says of the situation back home, I'm the last of the line. We don't have any younger generation. All the coaches have left to go somewhere else. He says nobody in tennis wants to stay here since the breakdown of the old Soviet system. And that's why he feels the responsibility to have these kind of results. It was a tremendous effort for the Russian team to get to the Davis Cup final last year before losing to Sweden.
40-30.
Volkov, also a Russian who has done, let's see, semi-finalist at the US Open, not this last year, but the year before that, in a big surprise.
They beat Australia in that Davis Cup match. Kafelnikov winning both his singles against the Australians, Patrick Rafter being one of them.
Game point here for Agassi.
Talking about Patrick Rafter, Andre Agassi said, hey, you Aussies got to ease up a bit on him because he really hasn't beaten any of the top players except one in that time where he beat Sampras, and thinks that the press is putting a little bit too much pressure on him.
1 game off.
Should learn that there's nothing you can do about that. Kafelnikov netting that return, and this is 1 game all in the second set. First set to Agassi. Kafelnikov is 3 months older than his buddy Medvedev, who's watching. He looks like he's about 3 years younger. Very young-looking boy.
Got a beautiful motion on the serve. There's Medvedev with the cast on that left arm, wrist and arm.
Last year, when Kafelnikov was having his great success, Medvedev was asked about it. He was, someone in a press conference said to him, you know, Andre, do you think, it seems like maybe Kafelnikov will be even better than you? And he very nicely said, yes, I think they are right.
First serve.
Both extraordinary, though still raw talents.
It's that European self-deprecating way of talking about themselves and their chances in matches, too. Oh, I have no chance of beating this guy. And they know full well in their heart that they have every chance. Agassi must now be getting the picture of what it's like to play against him. They both hit the ball so flat and so hard, and they do not back up. Lepeshin, the coach.
Anatoly Lepeshin, he's very proud of what they've done.
Game, Kafelnikov.
With Kafelnikov.
2 games to 1.
2 games to 1. Kafelnikov. Agassi won the first set 6-2. On your next visit to Melbourne, visit the 12 Apostles on the Great Ocean Road. It's about a 3-hour drive, and it's well worth it. On Friday night, the Oscars of horse racing is live on ESPN. Join us for the Horse of the Year announcement on our Eclipse Awards special. Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, live here on ESPN. 66 degrees today, clearing, no chance of rain, perfect weather. Kafelnikov and Agassi battling it out here. There are some southeasterly winds, but they're not really a factor in the stadium court at this stage. Terrific production of tennis. This court actually is a very good speed for producing some very strong play.
15 all.
You were saying yesterday, Fred, that you didn't think a serve and volley player could win on this surface, and not sure that I entirely agree with that, but it sure says one thing, and that is that it's fair to both styles of play. 15 love. 30 love.
13 all.
Now, they resurface the courts as they do at the US Open every year, and I think this is a little slower than it was last year, and the ball bounces up high. If you serve well, then you're rewarded, but the returner server, if you've got a return like these boys, then you move onto the court into an area where it's your hitting zone, and you can do that either on the baseline or a couple of feet inside the baseline, depending on your height and where your favorite shot is. And that's your objective, to move around until you find the area that you return best.
Game point. And game to Agassi, so it is 2 games all in the second set. First set, 2 breaks of serve. Agassi won that 6-2. Of course, there are 2 ways to be aggressive now. Not the only guy. Yeah, it's not only the serve and volleys who are aggressive players. I mean, you can hardly call Agassi a defensive style player. He's just an aggressive player from the baseline.
I think the only man who can beat Andre Agassi at this championship is a serve and volleyer, Pete Sampras. And he's the only guy who's got the game, in my opinion, to actually beat Agassi. I mean, there are other guys who could be around when Agassi loses, but Pete can take him down.
we're still all recovering from that match last night that didn't finish till after 1 o'clock. I mean, look at the replay. Agassi anticipates this forehand cross-court, puts it away, but that's one of the best matches I've been involved with in 15 years of television. And very dramatic, very emotional, and
beautifully played.
Yeah. Well, we were pretty emotional up here in the booth too when you get to the 5th set and you see tears with Pete Sampras, knowing the affection that he has for his coach.
15 all.
Not enough on that volley from Kafelnikov.
15.
And the reason for that was because the volley has to play. Look at this from low down. Couldn't get much on it. And Agassi has time, prepares well for that shot, finds the angle cross court.
15, 14.
Inexperience. He can match Agassi, but not consistently. He can come up with as brilliant a shot, but Agassi's been out there a lot longer, and Kafelnikov sort of goes off the boil, as he has done this game, with some unforced errors.
That one way wide. Lost complete control of it.
Well, he got up there and then really didn't look as though he knew what he was doing. He was there in plenty of time. There's the drop shot. Agassi's there in plenty of time. Look at this. He hits it waist high. It pokes it outside the doubles line. Very bad error, but still a break point.
There is the break for Agassi. Players going to change ends. Agassi will serve leading 3-2, and he won the first set 6-2. Agassi's looking good. He's won the first set and he's got the break. He'll serve here leading 3-2 in the second. What they're playing for ultimately is $369,000. The runner-up, so the winner of this match, will take home at least $184,000. The semi-final berth is worth $92,000 and change, and you can see the rest of it. Equal prize money here for the men and the women. The men have been on the court a lot longer, I'll say that.
It's quite astounding that they can do that, but they do it at the US Open and in the Australian. The Australian were thinking of lowering the prize money, but they can't lower it. They've got to increase the men's money. You can't put it up there and take it back, but quite astounding. They do not do it at Wimbledon or the French.
Down 1 set and a break. Kafelnikov receiving. Double fault, love 15. Kafelnikov lost the first set when he played against Jonas Bjorkman and then won the next 3. He also lost the first set to Ken Carlson and won it in 4. Love 30. Bjorkman, remember, the quarterfinalist at the US Open. He had a terrific tournament, beating, among others, his countryman Stefan Edberg in straight sets easily.
Agassi talking to himself there. He's played a loose game. He's worked hard to get the break. He served a double fault and an unforced error. Love 40 there, and Andre Agassi in trouble here, down a few break points, and through 4 matches he has broken his opponent's serve 25 times and only lost his own delivery on 3 occasions.
Says how good he is breaking serve.
It also says how strong and underrated his own serve is, but Kafelnikov now has the break.
And it's 3 games all.
And he's done it to love. He just did not have to work for that service break at all, Kafelnikov. Some unforced errors and a double fault thrown in there from Agassi.
Kafelnikov has got a tremendous return game, as we've seen. He has broken in 4 matches. He came into this one having broken 25 times as well, but his own serve had been broken twice as many times as Agassi's 6.
Agassi broke serve 51 times at the U.S. Open, winning it, which was a better than 50% record. Extraordinary.
30 long.
Well, that last game's got to give Kafelnikov a bit of a boost here, as Agassi's dropped the last 8 points in a row.
Kafelnikov was saying earlier this year that he didn't think he had a great serve, but I tell you, it sure looks very good to me. It's got a very smooth and uncomplicated motion. Look at the way he just sort of throws the ball up and hits it. Game point for Kafelnikov.
Very easy.
197 Ks on that one too.
It's a very easy swing.
Over 120 miles an hour. It's easy and it's uncomplicated, isn't it? Ball toss is not too high.
No, he gets a lot out of it. A lot of work at the back of the swing with the wrist. Yeah.
On the line. Kafelnikov holds on, and he is ahead in the second set after being a break down. He has broken back and now leads 4-3.
leads 4 games to 3.
He's the fiery one. His name is Fred Stoll, and he's been playing here in Australia for over 30 years. Old tennis players never die, apparently. They just have more faults. Fred actually won 18 Grand Slam titles, and he and Vijay Amritraj are unbeaten so far, and in the final of the senior event here at Flinders Park, proving once again that age triumphs over beauty. The fiery one is the toast of Melbourne again.
So Fred Stoll continues to mock the clock and rock down memory lane to all you colonial stateside. Let me tell you, this 1995 Australian Open has everything.
Agassi and Kafelnikov, Tennis Magazine called him the 94 Rookie of the Year in the men's division because of how well he has progressed. Agassi serving down 3-4.
15 long.
Started the season ranked 102 last year. Ended up ranked number 11.
Long. 40 long.
Miss hit. Still game point for Agassi, 40-15. Agassi, a finalist at the French Championships twice, but he hasn't won it. He has won Wimbledon, and last year he won the US Open. If he wins this Australian, he may be one of only 5 players in the world to win on all 4 surfaces, because he certainly has a shot at winning the French. Pete Sampras has won on all surfaces except the French.
Game, Agassi. Ball change,
Well, the
please.
drop shot did not work, and this match is
4
even
games
in the
all.
second set. 4 games all. At 7 p.m. Eastern tonight on ESPN. Providence visits Boston College. That's a key Big East matchup. And then at 9 o'clock, North Carolina takes on ACC rival Florida State at the Dean Dome in Chapel Hill. Doubleheader tonight on ESPN.
Fashion question for you, Mary. I've been asked by one of the volunteer drivers here, and they get the award for the best driving service here at the Ford Australia. And they said, Agassi's clothing, why does he wear a shirt that he's got to pull up on the back and roll up on the front?
You're asking me to explain this outfit? I don't think so.
This look, there he pulls it up. This lady's philosophy was that, you know, he's pulled it up at the back now. You're watching it now. He'll roll the front up.
I think the people at Nike sat down and said, now let's
There, look,
find
there
out.
it is. Now he folds it up. So he folds it at the front and pulls it up at the back. So she said, once you just get a shirt that's a little bit shorter, and a little bit, no?
He looks like
There
he
you go.
should be on the bridge of a pirate ship. Hi, mateys. 15 all.
15 all.
Heads up now, because crucial stage here with Agassi having won the first set. Kafelnikov, if he's going to make a ball game of this, he's got to hold on and get the set. I'm not going to say from 2 sets down he can't win it after what's happened at this championship, though. I'll be honest with you. Change of pace from Kafelnikov, who took Agassi by surprise.
He's been pretty successful with this ploy today. He's thrown in a couple of drop shots. He knows Agassi's way behind the baseline here, looking for another big forehand. Drops it in, and Agassi's pretty quick around the court. There's not too many faster. Maybe Michael Chang, but couldn't quite get there to control it.
Changing rackets, Kafelnikov. Bob Brett says that, in a way, Kafelnikov is like a modern-day Borg. He doesn't have the topspin, but he has that physique, and he moves like Borg, and he's got the ability to play inside the court, which a lot of players don't have, with the exception of Agassi, who certainly does have.
Bob Brett, the coach of Goran Ivanisevic, he coached Boris Becker back years ago when Boris Becker won this title and became the #1 player in the world.
And then they split.
Boy, that was a good shot. He got outside that singles line an extra step so that he could balance himself. He knew exactly where he wanted to play that one, and then he rifled that two-fisted backhand straight down the line. A lot of free lessons in footwork here if you watch Agassi.
Yeah.
14-30.
Again, Agassi, talking about people who don't back up and who play inside the baseline, Agassi's the preeminent one at doing that. He paid the price on that one, though. Game point here for Kafelnikov.
Game, Kafelnikov.
Hitting that one like a...
Kafelnikov leads 5 games to 4.
5 games to 4, Kafelnikov. Flinders Park with this retractable roof stadium. It's a terrific place to play tennis. They have done a magnificent job here. They built it so they could maintain their status as one of the 4 Grand Slam tournaments, and it's worked. Agassi is serving down 4-5 second set. He's playing Yevgeny Kafelnikov of Russia in the quarterfinals of the men's singles, looking for a place
15 long.
in the semifinals to join Sampras and Chang.
30 long.
What makes Agassi's forehand is so good is the way that he straightens it out. Look how he takes it back like a lot of other players with that round arm swing. But when it comes to there, stop it right there. Instead of going down and then coming up and underneath the ball and over it, he goes straight through it. And that's where he generates all of his power.
Long.
Techniques have changed over the years since we were taught to play the game. Players hit a lot more now with an open stance. However, one thing has remained constant. They still initially get that left shoulder. If you're hitting a forehand as a right-hander, they get that left shoulder round, and then they rotate the shoulders and the body and the hips all in one now, as opposed to the years we were taught to try and step into the ball with the shoulders and the hips going out towards the target.
Ace from Agassi. That is his 4th ace. First of the set. And it's 5 games all. Does the same kind of thing on the backhand side, Agassi. I mean, it's a very compact motion.
Sees the ball very early.
First serve.
Doesn't this Kafelnikov serve remind you a little bit of the great servers like Michael Stich, for example, the way that...
Yeah, he goes back on the back foot. See, he takes the weight in the back foot, very simple, gets it and throws the ball out in front. Look at the extension there. Look how far the elbow is up and the racket is down behind the shoulder blades, and then he jumps into it. Oh, he's made 2 unforced errors here off the forehand side, put him in a hole.
Love 30 at 5 games all. Brad Gilbert and his wife Kim there in front of him.
Yeah, they said to say hello to young Zach again today. He's not with them, and he's a little upset that he's not out here with Mum and Dad.
Because his kid sister is. Nice coverage from Kafelnikov. He is so supremely fit, Kafelnikov. He says, I don't drink and I don't smoke. I don't like parties. My life is very simple and quiet. That's why in the Davis Cup final he played both singles and doubles.
He could never have traveled with us.
But I think that easy, I brought that up because that easy motion of his,
yeah, it's fabulous.
You know, I think that helps. I think it's part of why he's so strong. He doesn't tax his body. You know, when Jim Courier was in the 5th set last night, you saw the veins sticking out of his arms and his legs, and much more effortful.
15-30, now 30 all as Kafelnikov comes back from being down love 30.
Very streaky. He played 2 horrendous forehands to be down love 30, and then he comes back and gets the pace off this shot, uses Agassi's pace and drills it right through. You talk about hit through a tennis ball. He does it well off that 2-hander.
Break point for Agassi. There's a definite distinction between guys who play like Kafelnikov and Sampras, and to a lesser extent Agassi, who can win points relatively easily, get away with it. Michael Stich as well, guys like Marc Rosset and the big servers. And then the other spectrum, which is the Couriers, who really have to work hard for their wins.
And the Chans.
And the Kricksteins.
Tried to throw in a 3/4 pace kick serve there. That's been a tactic that I'm sure Medvedev has talked to him about.
He got it. Sensational forehand cross-court. Big angle from Agassi. He gets the break in the 2nd set. He won the 1st set. He'll be serving for set 2 after they... Agassi is about to serve here for set number 2. He won the 1st behind 2 serve breaks, 6-2. Then he got out to an early break here in the 2nd set, but he was in turn broken by Kafelnikov. That leveled things at 4 games all, but now Agassi once again has the break, and if he wins the next 4 points, he's 2 sets up.
15 all.
That's too good. Maybe.
Yep.
Yeah, it was the forehand that set it up.
30 love.
Hit it over the highest part of the net, but he just has so much control over that topspin on that forehand side. Now it was up and over and then came in right on the baseline.
Had a terrific year last year, Agassi. Started out by winning Scottsdale, and he got to the final of the Lipton, losing to Sampras.
It was a surprise for him to win Scottsdale, the first tournament back after wrist surgery.
Then at the end of the year, he won the Canadian Open, ended up winning the U.S. Open over Michael Steek in the final. Todd Martin, Muster, Chang, Ferreira. He was unseeded, so he had to play a lot of seeded players to get that title. And then he won Vienna and the Paris Indoor. Beat Sampras there. He's got 1 point here between him and a 2-set-to-love lead for a place in the semis.
First serve. Game. Second set, Agassi.
Agassi
7
2
games
sets
to
to love. First set 6-2. A little tougher time in the
Agassi
second
leads
set, but
2
he
sets
finally
to
got the second break in the last game. Held on, and he leads 2 sets to love.
Just over an hour and 3 minutes of play for the first 2 sets.
Third set, Kafelnikov to serve.
Agassi again has served particularly well. He's serving percentages for the first 2 sets at 69%. Kafelnikov is at 64%, so very much again an underrated serve. You talk about Agassi just being a returner. He doesn't serve and volley, or he hasn't yet today, but it's a very effective first serve.
A shrug of the shoulders there from Kafelnikov. He really has got to bear down now.
These are the moments he's just lost the second set. This is the start of the third. I mean, these 10 minutes will decide really his fate.
That's exactly right. I mean, it could be over very quickly.
Yeah.
Well, it's when inexperience is there, when you've reached the first quarterfinal of a Grand Slam and you lose the first 2 sets to the hottest player possibly that's out there, and you think, well, 2 sets to love down, you relax a little bit and you're pretty much into the showers.
Boy, he snapped that one across court for a winner.
30-all.
You know, he doesn't really look like Agassi, but I mean, they can both hit winners off of both sides from the baseline. In the matches leading up to this, they both had a remarkably similar number of winners from both their forehands and backhands.
Break point for Agassi, and that's what counts here. Up 2 sets.
Means he's not serving very well.
Yeah, he doesn't need to be talking to himself. You can see that attitude from him. I don't think this last set is going to take too long. Agassi leading 2 sets to none and 1 game to love. The Australian Open Tennis Championship from Flinders Park in Melbourne. Andre Agassi very much in control of this match with Yevgeny Kafelnikov. Beginning tomorrow, we'll have full 4-round coverage of the PGA Tour's Phoenix Open, presented by the Dial Corporation. $1.3 million in all. John Daly, Nick Faldo, Phil Mickelson will all be there. That starts tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern. Quarterfinal men's singles, Agassi serving.
Well, Kafelnikov's thrown away his cap, and he's talking to himself, saying, everything I'm hitting at the moment is just missing. That one barely missed the sideline. The last game, he taped 2 terrific backhands that were hit well, but right on top of the tape.
Too long.
Very warm day here today. Very aware in Australia of the skin cancer problem. We have a slogan down here, it's slip, slap, slop. Slop's all to do with putting sunscreen on and wearing a hat. And Agassi has got Kafelnikov all over the court at the moment.
Agassi holds on. He's got 2 sets to love and 2 games to love now in the 3rd set. He is just dominating this match totally. Update, as you can see, 59 on first serve percentage of 69 for Agassi. Winners 19 and 12 and 33 errors from Kafelnikov against 16 for Agassi.
Agassi gives Kafelnikov a little bit of his own medicine. He says, hey, he can't believe this. He's thrown the racket away. That's just a tremendous rally from Agassi, and a good friendly gesture there from Kafelnikov. His first quarter-final match here, and Agassi's just giving him a lesson.
Agassi, he's thinking of something to say, but he can't come up with it. Here, watch this.
There's thumping balls all over the court. Got Kafelnikov on a string, and look at that, the little drop shot. Kafelnikov's won 3 or 4 of those. Played in a friendly atmosphere, and it's nice to see that Kafelnikov can have a little bit of a joke at this stage, because he's getting a thrashing.
It was a gesture not unlike the one that Boris Becker made in the 3rd round of last year's Lipton, getting pummeled by this guy. He finally offered up his racket to a ball kid, saying, "Hon, you can do better than me."
And she became famous for a day or two. 15-all.
But that is what Agassi does to you. He wears you down physically, mentally, emotionally.
Well, it also shows a couple of the boys that he's played, a couple of the brightest prospects in our sport today. Kafelnikov, all the players will agree that he's going to be in the top 10. He's only a raw talent out there, as you mentioned, Mary. The same with Australia's Patrick Rafter. They're not that good yet, and they meet somebody like an Agassi, and he puts them in his place. That's just sheer pace of shot.
Well, that's exactly right. Kafelnikov is a beautiful mover. He's a much rangier player, so he's got better reach than Andre Agassi, and he's continuously pulled all over the court, flailing for forehands. Agassi has already got 5 breaks in this match, and now he's got 6.
He had to change hands, and
3 games to
as I suspected, Kafelnikov, I think he's about had enough for the day. Agassi in control. Agassi serving, leading. 3 games to love, 2 breaks.
15 long.
This match reminds me a little bit of the U.S. Open final between Andre Agassi and Michael Stich. Stich, you could tell, I mean, after the first 2 sets, he was so demoralized by the remarkable level of play from Agassi. And there was just no part of Stich's game that was worrying Agassi, and there's no part of Kafelnikov's game that has bothered Agassi enough.
14 long.
Agassi has certainly never played as consistently well over the weeks as he is now. Kafelnikov, on the other hand, just lacking the experience. He's got the game.
He's just slapping away now, isn't he? Those 3 slap shot forehands he's played in this game.
He is going through the motions now. As far as he's concerned, he's thinking about taking a dip in that pool down here, southern hemisphere. It's summer in Australia. Gave it his best shot for 2 sets, and he figures he has no prospect of winning it anyway. 4 games to love down and 2 sets down. Summertime down under.
Bronzed Australians, there you go.
But they take time and trouble here in Australia to tell everybody to keep covered because the sun down here is a real problem.
Best beaches in the world down here in general, all over Sydney and
where are the best oysters in the world, Fred?
The best oysters are certainly the Sydney Rock oysters.
Say that.
15-30.
15-30 in this game. Agassi ahead in the game. He's ahead in the set. He's 2 sets up in the match. Playing for a place in the semi-final to take on the winner of Aaron Krickstein or Jaco Elting.
15-14.
This guy's broken. Andre Agassi has broken the will and the fighting power of Kafelnikov.
Break points for Agassi.
The match is supposed to get harder and harder as a Grand Slam fortnight goes on. Agassi still hasn't dropped a set.
He's certainly going to be the freshest of 4 in the semi-finals.
Well, that's exactly.
And he hasn't lost any focus, has he?
No. None. Well, that's just, again, this reminds me of his U.S. Open form. He said, I got better with every match. He said, after he beat Stich, he said, I wanted to play another one. I know I could have played my next, if there had been an 8th match to win, he would have played that one even better.
And
Game Agassi, ball
Strangely
change,
enough,
please.
it was the fact that the Agassi-Chang match, that's
Agassi
where the
leads
one that brought
5
Agassi round at
New
the
ball.
US Open. Here, he looks as though he's set for the semi-finals of the Australian.
Flinders Park in Melbourne. I hope you have enjoyed our first 3 days of coverage. It sure has been fun. You know, some tournaments do not really kind of get the spark. This one has. It's been terrific. Tennis has been great. We have seen some drama and action here that has just made this a tremendous event.
Has not been anywhere near as hot as it has been in previous Australian Opens down here in Melbourne. Weather has been kinder to the players. If you've watched the Australian Open on ESPN over the years, you've had some scorches. Not so this year.
Well, there have just been so many compelling storylines at this year's Australian Open. It's Andre Agassi's first attempt, the first time he's ever played here, and it looks like he can win this thing. Arantxa Sanchez Vicario poised to become #1 if she wins it. Pete Sampras's mighty struggles. Naoko Sawamatsu's tragic problems back home. And it's been, as I say, it's just been so interesting.
And for the locals, of course, Pat Rafter, the top Australian player, and his efforts against Agassi, losing efforts, that mesmerized this country on Sunday night. 2 points from the match now. 1 point for Agassi. He's got 3 match points against Kafelnikov. First set 6-2, then 7-5. He broke twice in the second set, but was broken once himself.
Quiet, please. Thank you.
On the brink of a place in the semis.
Oh! 40-15.
Another match point. He leads 5 games to love. So there's no pressure on him.
Three errors in a row bring this back to deuce, and there's no chance for him to lose this match. He's thoroughly demoralized his opponent.
He had that one. That's the first time we've seen Agassi actually into the net to play a volley.
Look at that.
There you go.
On the line, and it's another match point. Is 4th.
Advantage Agassi.
The only chance that Kafelnikov had was holding on somehow at the end of the second set when he was able to break back and get back to 4-all, but he couldn't.
First set.
Yep.
Game set match Agassi. 3 sets full off. 6-2, 7-5,
Two-sided
6-1.
story. Kafelnikov went away in the third set, Mary Carrillo, but you got to hand it to Agassi. I'm not sure that there was much that he could have done anyway.
Yeah, that's why Kafelnikov gave it up in the third. You know, he came here playing very good tennis, but again, this guy, Andre Agassi, is in a class by himself.
And Kafelnikov, his first quarter-final match. He's loved here in Australia for his efforts from last year. But this man here, Andre Agassi, his first time down here at the Australian Open, just blistered that particular match. Kafelnikov only winning 7 points in that third set.
Agassi in straight sets, 6-2, 7-5, and 6-love. So you can paint Andre Agassi a winner and a semi-finalist here at the men's singles at the Ford Australian Open. He will take on the winner next of Jaco Elting of Holland and the US's Aaron Krickstein. So it could be an all-USA semi-final with Chang and Sampras rounding out the field. We're going to take a break now and get a chance to listen to Andre Agassi. winner this afternoon.
The 1995 Ford Australian Open was brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? And by NEC, a leader in multimedia technology. NEC. See, hear, and feel the difference.
The forehand worked beautifully for Agassi today. In truth, all of his shots worked well. Agassi safely through to the semi-final of this first Grand Slam of the year. Here's Mary Carrillo with him in the interview room. Mary?
Thanks, Cliff. A remarkable performance. I mean, it's the kind of tennis you put together when you won the U.S. Open.
Yeah, you know what's very, I guess, making me feel very confident is adjusting from the serve and volleyer to the baseliner today. That I felt was going to be a bit of a problem or difficulty, or at least an obstacle that I'd have to deal with. All of a sudden to play somebody who's going to make me hit 10, 15 balls a point. And I felt like I responded that well. It was, you know, similar to playing Chang and Mooster at the Open, and then having to play Todd Martin and Steek. You know, it was that adjusting period is the most important. I felt like I really came through today real strong.
Kafelnikov's strengths match your own. Big blasting strokes from both wings. You know, he's got a big serve, big return game, and yet you really demoralize him by the end of the second.
Yeah, you know, we both try to demand, you know, control of the point and not give up the baseline, and it's who's going to be more stubborn out there, who's going to hit that ball deeper, and who's going to hit it more effectively. And you know, I'm not ready to concede the ground strokes yet. You know, I mean, I don't have a huge serve, so ground strokes are for me. I don't want anybody taking that away. So it was kind of one of those matches, and keep pushing each other back and forth, and to see who breaks first.
Your serve is so underrated because the serving numbers you produce of late have been every bit as good as your return game. Do you think that's kind of something people don't talk about enough?
You know, Brad has really focused on that a lot with me. You know, at the end of the year in '94 last year, he said to me, you know, you should be in the winning percentages of your first serve. You know, and you should be not only having a high percentage of first serves in, but you should be winning the majority of the points, you know, a high percentage of your points on your first serve. And so we've worked on utilizing it a little better, using the serve to set up the first shot of the rally that I'm looking for. And you know, every now and then when I sneak in one at, you know, 185 Ks, it surprises these guys because they're used to me maneuvering it. So I feel like, you know, I'm a little sneaky with it. It's definitely not my strength yet by any means, but I don't need it to be. I know where my strengths are, and I know where my weaknesses are, and I'm just working on all of it. Very,
very smart serving. This means that you've come all the way through the semis without the loss of a set. Does that worry you at all? And also, can you talk a little bit about watching your buddy Pete Sampras struggle as mightily as he did last night?
Yeah, you know, it's first of all,